Hello, Absurd Nerd here to talk about patch 9.14 of Team Tactics. And having played my very first game of Ranked, I've definitely noticed certain improvements, changes, maybe some buffs that are over the top. So my game will be playing while I talk about the patch and the game and how I feel about it. So obviously I trying out Ranked. Not something I've done with League of Legends, but with TFT I don't really see the point in not playing it ranked. I mean, the game's easy enough to take, to do. It's a pretty stress-free game for the most part. On screen here you can see a few tweaks and changes to it. So on the top right you've now got little crossed swords, which I'm just highlighting there, bringing that up. That there is just going to tell you how much each of your champions is dealing, how much damage they're dealing during the round. So you can see there, it'll just do that. And later on we'll see, when we've got more champions out, that the one with the highest damage will pop up to the top of that list. And I believe it pops up at the end of every round just so you can see how much damage it's done, which I kept getting rid of because it's a bit annoying when I just wanted to see where I was in position to the other players. But you'll notice that later on. The patch itself, there was so many different changes on it. I've just got the patch notes up now. Lots of balance changes. So things like just a few nerfs to things. Obviously the newest thing we're going to see in here is a brand new champion. Twisted Fate's been added. He is a 2-cost unit. He's both pirate and a sorcerer, and his ability is his pick a card ability. So he's going to throw a card. If it's the gold card, it stuns. If it's the red card, it does AoE damage. And if it's the blue card, it actually does an AoE mana to anybody around, to any nearby allies. So obviously a very RNG heavy character, but each of those abilities is still really good. I don't get to use them in this game. It just didn't seem to fit the comp I was building. Possibly I could have gone pirates, which this will be a nice buff to pirates, as you can then get the bonus off fairly early in the game with Pike, Graves, and Twisted Fate. With him being, with all them, with Graves being a 1-cost unit and Pike and Twisted Fate being 2-cost, so you can get it all before Gangplank, who's a 3-cost unit. So that's a nice little buff, but there is obviously the other side to that is they've decreased how much gold you can get from each of the pirate chests at the end of a round. Obviously the other big thing is they've added rank, which I'm playing through now. At the moment I'm not sure how it's going to work. I think there were talks that you just go up and down, there's no whatever you get in the League of Legends when you rank up and you have to do a best of 3 to try and get up. I think you just, as long as you get the LP, you just go up. They've changed things like attack speed, so now items will benefit characters with higher attack speed. So on my team here I've got Tristana, who's got pretty high attack speed, base attack speed. I think later on I'll highlight that you can now look at the details on the champions and see things like their damage, their attack speed. But you'll notice that later on. I should have looked at it earlier, but I forgot that they put that in. So that's an extra little UI, kind of an interface change to the game, so you can just see more information. Big changes to how you receive items now. So you'll notice, if you've never seen anything on the PBE, early on there where I got my items, when I was killing the minions, they drop a little question mark box. In that box could be an item, could be money, could even be XP. I believe I don't think I got any XP this game. I got money and items. And I think now it says here, in the event that you do not get an item during a PvE round, one of the minions, monsters or epic monsters will now drop gold instead. So I guess it's an improvement, at least when it's not a complete feels bad for not getting any items at all. You'll still get some money, so that's a good thing. A good thing for the sorcerers now. The dragon rounds are always a little bit tricky to do because both dragon and elder dragon had the Dragon Tooth bonus, so they basically wouldn't take any damage from magic. Now they don't have that benefit, so the sorcerer team can actually win against a dragon easily. There's other stuff here I don't care about, just have a look down. It's easy now to hit level 9, so the XP from 8 to 9 I believe is down by 6, so instead of it costing 70 gold, it now costs 64 gold. I think in this game here I do hit level 9, so you'll be able to see that later on. In fact, I kind of Egon quite well and managed to spend it on stuff. Managed to spend it on the levels more, so I kind of was focusing on the leveling up in this game. The abilities that target low health champions, they now determine the lowest health by HP percentage instead of total HP. So this was affecting certain champions that are probably like Lulu and Kale. So if you had really big tanky characters with full health, they wouldn't, with half health, they wouldn't target them. They'd still target the weaker champions in the backline, just because they have less numeric health. So now it'll be percentage based health, which is really good. You'll also notice the new streak indicator. So down at the bottom of the screen, mine just changed from blue to red there. It just tells you if you're on a losing or winning streak easier without trying to remember, because at the top it only shows you the current round information. So here I can see at the moment that I've got 2 wins and 1 loss, but if you were winning in the last round you wouldn't be able to tell unless you remembered how long your streak was. So that's good. So when we get back to the match, you can see at the bottom, just to the right of how much gold you've got, there's a little flame indicator. It'll be blue if you're on a losing streak, or tell you how much of a streak you're on, and red if you're on a winning streak. So far in this match, looks like we're doing okay. I can't remember what. I started off with the gunslingers. Gunslingers. Overall on the PBE we're doing pretty well, got lots of different buffs, and I believe most of that stuff is still here. So now the gunslinger bonus, where they attack different targets, if they had high attack speed it would fail to go off because of the animation, so now they will hit more often. But instead now of when you hit 4 gunslingers, they used to be able to hit all targets within range, they will now just hit 2 targets in range. So on level 1 they'll hit 1 extra target, and at the level 2, or when you've got 4 gunslingers, they'll actually hit 2 extra targets. So we're able to see that later on, because I do get the 4 gunslingers off later on in this match. I'm a big fan of gunslingers before the patch anyway, even though they weren't that great, I still enjoy playing with them. Lucian's pretty good with how fast he can build up his ability, so he's quite a good champion, although I think a lot of people didn't like him. I think he's also got some buffs now, so I'll just quickly scroll to Lucian's buffs. So his Relentless Pursuit second shot damage has been improved by more than 100%, so at level 1 it went from 65 to 150, level 2 went from 150 to 250, and level 3 went from 235 to 350. So Lucian's got, so obviously the more often you can get his ability off, the more damage he's going to be doing now, so that's really good. They've nerfed the Demon Mana Burn, just lowered that a bit. Elementalist, they took some of their power away from the Golem, gave him a little bit less health, less damage, because he was a bit over the top. Guardians, they made them a bit better. So before, you can only stack the Guardian buff on someone up to 2 times. So if you had the Leona and the Braum, and then multiple Leonas and Braums, you could only stack it 2 times. Now you can stack it any number of times, so you could surround your carry with Leonas and Braums and give them crazy armor buffs. I've already mentioned gunslingers, I've already mentioned the pirates got the nerf. Shapeshifters, they had a weird bug that made them not get the right kind of health, and now they fixed that bug. It makes them overpowered, so they've had to lower their transform from 100% to 60% health. So overall, that's kind of a nerf to early level shapeshifters, but I think it's a buff to later levels where they're only gaining, where they were gaining less. So that's a little bit of a sort of, well, not really a buff or a nerf, but just a change. Wild has now got a 1% attack speed bonus to their passive. Oh yeah, this round here, I just didn't have enough level 2 units and positioned very poorly, and that's not good. That's not good. Didn't even kill 2 of them. Didn't even get an item. Oh, that's really bad. I wondered if they just buffed these guys, but they haven't. That's just me just being really bad. Okay, so different champions. So the tier 1 champions, they've done a lot of improvements to abilities that characters, that champions cast, that if there's no enemies, so like Darius for example, he would just use his ability, spin, and hit no one, and it would just be frustrating. So at the start of cast, if there's no one in range, they just won't cast the ability. I think this applies to a few others that we'll get to later on. I don't play Darius in this match, but I have seen it, his ability whiff in the past, and it's annoying. Big change to Elise. She, as you can see her on the screen now, in fact she's now a 1 cost unit, down from a 2 cost unit. They've given her Spiderlings the demon buff ability, which is another reason for lowering how much it burns mana. She now costs more mana to transform though, so her level 1 probably going to die more often because it's gone from 75 mana to 100 mana, which is quite a lot. She does now have less Spiderlings because they were seeing that with the number of Spiderlings she had before, 2 at level 1, 3 at level 2 and 4 at level 4, early on you could just put out multiple Elises, have them explode into spiders, win the round and do crazy damage. So now at level 1 she'll only get 1 Spiderling, at level 2 she'll get 2, and level 4 she'll still get, at level 3 she'll still get 4 Spiderlings. Her health got decreased and her armor got decreased as well. So they made her cheaper, but then they nerfed her to fit her 1 cost. But it does help shapeshifters on the whole get out earlier as well. So Nidalee and that's Nidalee and Elise now at level 1. Fiora got a minor buff, which is good because I will agree with everyone. Fiora is awful. The only reason for picking her early on is for the 3 noble buff, and then as soon as that ability falls off, you just drop her. So she's now got a little bit of an attack speed buff and a damage buff. Don't know if it's going to really make her better, but we'll see. Graves got a little bit of a nerf. His health went down, which definitely affected me in this match as I kept putting Graves. And as I like putting Graves here in the far right positions, so that if the team is stacked, he can hit more targets. But he's got 50 less health now, so he definitely, I felt like him dying a lot quicker than he used to. Vayne got a little bit of an attack speed buff. Warwick, his abilities now apply on hit effects. I think a few others are going to have that as well. Tier 2, Ari fixed a bug. Oh yeah, her ability used to fly back and then she died. It didn't do any damage, but now it will. She'll retarget if her target dies as well during the cast time. So again, they've kind of fixed a lot of just annoying bugs where you have abilities going off and not doing what they want, which, especially on sorcerers where that's all their power, so that's quite nice. And she won't hit a random enemy now with her ability. She'll hit who she's targeting, so she can actually finish them off. So that's pretty good. Blitzcrank, they fixed a bug. He could hook a unit off the board if he died while casting apparently. So yes, I actually had seen that bug happen. Not on any of my games, but yeah, people would fire the Blitzcrank, he'd die, and then suddenly both of the units just disappeared. Yeah. And nearby allies are now more likely to target you with Blitzcrank hooks, so that's pretty good. So Braum, as well as getting his Guardian buff, he's also going to get increase to his damage reduction early, so it'll be 70 instead of 60. The mana cost for his big shield is down from 75 to 50, and his ability targeting is no longer the nearest enemy but the furthest enemy. So one effect that means is if they've got a big carry at the back, you put Thornmails on Braum, they're going to be targeting him now as opposed to the so he'll just be able to draw more aggro. So he basically becomes a really good tank now, because realistically you'd maybe play him in a glacial comp, but other glacial units were just better than him. So with the Guardian buff and that, Braum becomes pretty good. We mentioned Lucian's one already. Pike is ridiculous. You put Shojins on Pike just uses ability, and he just stun locks you and slaps you around. So now his ability is going to cost more mana, but he does start with more mana. So he's going to get his first cast off pretty much at the same time, but future casts will cost more. So at least you won't be seeing Pike's casting his ability and stunning you to death from now on. Although, extra Shojin, double Shojin's level 3 Pike probably still be doing that. In fact, I think I see it later in this game that Pike does that a lot. Rek'Sai's got some buffs, which is good, because Rek'Sai again was another one of those champions and right at the bottom of the tier list of usefulness. So her burrow duration is now half a second quicker. Knock up lasts for half a second longer, and the damage has gone up at higher levels by 100. So she could be pretty good. I heard that people have been playing more brawlers, noticing how good they are. And I think a few of the brawlers get buffs here, so that's great. Shen, I personally like playing Shen. I like his ability to dodge all the damage. Makes him pretty decent tank. And he's Blade Master, and I do enjoy playing Blade Masters. So now he's going to start with more mana, goes from 50 to 100. So he is going to be able to get his ability off really early. So I am very, very happy to see that, because I do like Shen and I do like Blade Masters. So that's both Shen and Fiora, they're actually getting a buff to Blade Master. And speaking of Blade Master, on to the tier 3 champions. Aatrox, he is his mana cost for his ability has gone down and the damage has gone up. So if you're a fan of Aatrox in this and a fan of Blade Masters, that's very good. Aatrox's ability is pretty scary. The fact he can now get it off quicker is really, really good. He's going to be a very good pick for sure. Evelyn, Evelyn before was another one of those bottom tier units, not very good. You maybe put her in an assassin comp if you're if you're running demons as well, but overall she just wasn't very good. But you'll see in this game that her buffs, I think, are maybe slightly too much. We'll see later. So her health got increased by 50. Her execution threshold went from 50% to 65% HP. Execute damage multiplier. Early levels is the same, but then it goes from 400 to 500 at level 2 and 500 to 700 at level 3. So that's quite a bit. And her ability now roots during the cast to prevent them from moving out of the area as well. So her ult basically can hit more often and do a lot more damage, and she can kill you at higher health, is what I'm reading into that. And she's harder to kill. So overall, just I think overbuffed, but as I said, we'll see later in this game. So on to the next one. Gangplank is another one where they've given on-hit effects to an ability. So his barrels now apply the on-hit effects. So if you're running red buff or Morelos on him, then obviously that's pretty good. He's just going to be able to apply all those debuffs even more. I think those are on hit effects anyway, I believe. They just fixed some bugs with him, improved his attack speed by 0.5, and improved his health by 50. So that overall makes him pretty good. I think in my game, I think he pretty much becomes the gunslinger that replaces Graves. I think that's a little bit later on, we'll see that. I don't think I give any on-hit items, so we won't be able to see how that works, but overall anyway, he's got some buffs, so that's pretty good. I do like Gangplank. Felt he was a bit weak before. Katarine, they just she's going to prevent enemy healing. They fixed the bug where it wasn't working. Kennen, I thought Kennen was powerful before, but apparently not. So they've increased his damage. It was 300 to 660, and now it's 400 to 900. And his attack damage has gone from 60 to 70. So Kennen's going to be doing more. Which I guess is good because they've kind of nerfed Elementalists a little bit, so maybe buffing Kennen helps that composition. Let's see, Morgana. Again, another one where she would cast her ability with no one there, so they fixed that so she won't cast it if no one's in range. And the damage has just received a slight buff at early level from 250 to 300. Poppy, she's Yordlander Knight, so in the Yordle comp she'd kind of be your tank. So they've improved her armor from 30 to 40, which is great. Her stun duration has also been increased by half a second at each level, and targets hit by her ultimate was just 1 before, and now it's 1, then 2, then 3 at different levels. So that definitely makes it worthwhile investing in Poppy early if you're running the Yordle comp, or even in Knights, because Knights have got a few buffs here and there, and it makes her a good part of the tankier frontline along with Guardians. Rengar, I don't actually play Rengar that often, I must admit. I don't often pick him, even when I play Assassins. So his Savagery's attack speed buff is now multiplicative, so it increases his attack speed ratio. So I guess just building more attack speed item on him is better overall, I think. I think that needs tests. I definitely need to play Rengar more. I do like playing Rengar in League of Legends, so why don't pick him in TFT, don't know. Shyvana, so she's just got a few buffs, which is good in a way, I guess. So they have now fixed before. I think I'll get onto it later with Thornmails. They used to be, you'd play Hextech and Thornmails in Shyvana, and she'd be almost unkillable, and she'd deal so much damage back because the damage Thornmails dealt would also heal her because of Hextech. In fact, that would work with anybody if they had that combination of items, but they believe they fixed that on Hextech or Thornmails. I'll get that later. But anyway, she's got some buffs, so her attack speed's gone up a bit, her health has gone up, and her bonus attack damage while in Dragon has also gone up. So overall, Shyvana, pretty good pick. So that's good for Dragons. I don't think there's any buffs to the other dragon, but anyway, buffed her is good, and she's a shapeshifter. So with the changes to Elise and others, they sort of like nerfs and buffs here for shapeshifters. Okay, so next one is Vigar. They've changed his damage to lower star champions from 999 to 19999. I assume this is something to do with defensive items, making it so that he wasn't killing lower star champions, because that's the whole point of his ult, is that he basically, if he's level 2, he can kill any level 1. But instead of making it an auto kill, that they base it on numbers. So they've just made the numbers bigger. And his mana cost for doing it is now 10 less. So he'll be doing it more often, and it'll be more consistently killing lower star units. Back to my game quickly, let's have a quick look. So we're in the top 4, someone's already been knocked out. overall going pretty well. At some point we may have already highlighted the fact we can see information on people. As I've missed it, I'll probably just do a little pop-up just to point out what it can do now. Let's see, so Volibear. So Demon Bear's been a pretty good thing with his lightning zaps everyone's mana. Obviously with the debuff to demons makes it not as OP as it was, but Volibear's got a buff anyway. So his health has gone up, attack speed's gone up, mana cost has gone down, and his lightning damage ratios have gone up at earlier. So there's now not 60 to 100 but 80 to 100. So overall Volibear pretty good. Onto the tier 4 champions. So I think they overall in this wanted to fix tier 4s in the sense that tier 3s were too weak, tier 4s were too powerful. So people would just skip a lot of tier 3s just to get to the tier 4s. So they've now buffed a lot of the tier 3s and maybe nerfed a lot of the tier 4s just to balance things out a bit. Mikali, they fixed some bugs on her. And again, she's one of the ones that would cast her ability when no one was there, so they've fixed it so that she will always hit something. Or at least when she casts it, something's in range, she'll that's when she'll cast it. Brand, they've nerfed him a bit, so again another nerf to Elementalist. His mana cost has gone up from 100 to 125. Cho'Gath, he's got a bit of a nerf. His health has gone down by 100, and knock-up duration at early levels has been reduced as well, because it was 2 seconds long at his level 1 with 1100 health. Just very impressive. Now it's just 1.5 seconds. That's good for anybody that has to face a Cho'Gath. Draven, nerfed his attack speed, which is fair enough. Draven's just one of those champions that you just normally end up picking up just because he's so powerful. So to not have that is pretty good. Not to have him be so fast with his attacks, that's pretty good. No, just got a minor nerf. His health's gone down, his arm's gone down. I mean, I normally, as you can see in this comp, I've got a Nart. I don't normally put him in the front lines anyway, during his range mode, at least that way he can hopefully survive long enough to get his ult off, although this round went so fast he didn't actually even have a chance to stack up to his ultimate. So it could definitely damage Gnar if you're trying to make him tankier before he transforms. He could die before he transforms more often. Leona, so this is actually a buff to a tier 4 champion, but it's also a buff to Guardians. Her mana cost has gone down from 150 to 100. So again, I mean, I think in the early games I was playing Guardians because it just sounded good. But once you start playing TFT a bit, you sort of realise what's good, what's not. And Guardians was one of those ones that just didn't seem to do very much. So with all these buffs to Guardians, they could be pretty good as your front line, as your tanks. So yeah, that's a good buff there. Finally on tier 4 we got Sejuani. They've just lowered her stun duration at early levels. Well, again, level 3 Sejuani does not happen often. So level 1 and 2 it just gets reduced by a bit, by 1 second at level 1 and half a second at level 2. Which is fair enough, because again, Sejuani is one of those champions you just pick, throw in any comp just to use her ultimate. Unless you run Glacial, obviously, then you should definitely run Sejuani. Finally, for the champions, we've got the tier 5s. So Anivia, her ability no longer cancels when she dies. So I can't remember how long Anivia's ultimate lasts for, but when she dies it can stay there. So that's pretty powerful, I guess, especially if she dies the second she casts it and it's still ticking over. Miss Fortune, she won't attack random enemies, so when she's attacking something she'll sometimes flick and look to the right or the left or whatever. She'll just keep attacking her current target with her ability. She will also now retarget her ability if the target dies during the wind up, so again similar to the ones where people are missing when they cast stuff. Fix the bug with Misfortune on his move and change her ult trajectory while channeling. and the mana cost has gone up. So we'll see in this game. I have got a Misfortune. She doesn't get her off anywhere near as often as she did before. Yasuo, and again we'll see him because I've got Yasuo there as well. His ability now applies on hit effects, though I don't think I give him anything with non-hit effect anyway. His knock-up duration gets increased by a quarter of a second, and his damage at level 2 and 3 gets increased. So overall that's a nice buff to Yasuo, who's already a pretty strong champion. And again, he's one of those ones you really can just throw into any comp really. Just because his X army, well, he's the only, he can be the only unit by himself, so I like bugging in Yasuo into different comps, and it's another buff to Blade Masters as well. They've just next up is the items. So general changes. So items no longer benefit from ability power. So that meant like Locket was like crazy. You could stack Lockets on a sorcerer or someone, and they just give crazy amounts of shields. The spatula now doubles the stat power of its sister component. So Yomu's Ghostblade grants 40 attack damage now. So that's pretty interesting. I think I put a spatula. I turned Castan into a knight just to get the knight bonus with Mordekaiser. So that would have made the item it worked with twice as good. So definitely made him a bigger tank, which is great. Curse Blade, an item that wasn't an item that people would really pick that often. I think it's now been heavily buffed. I think a few items have been buffed just to be more consistent as well. So this one can now reduce the target to 0 stars, which is just really, really dumb, but fun as well if you're the one with the Curse Blade. And they fixed it where it would reset an enemy's champion level if it triggered a second time. So again, just due to consistency, it wasn't a great item before because you'd lower it then raise them back up, and it just wasn't very good. Frozen Heart. The effect applies more consistently to any unit near the wearer, so a little buff to that. Guardian Angel receives some pretty big buffs to it. So its revive delay is only 2 seconds, not 4, and its health restored is twice as much, up to 1,000. And it now properly clears Grievous Wounds as well. I can't remember which people apply Grievous Wounds other than Katarina. Don't know if the red buff counts as applying Grievous Wounds. I have to check into that. But overall, that's pretty good buffs for Guardian Angel. 1,000 health restored is nice, and also only taking 2 seconds means they get back into the fight. Ginsu's Rage Blade has been attack speed goes from 3% to 4% per attack. So again, if you've got that carry in the back, like we'll see here in this round, Tristana's got it. She's got red buff, Rage Blade, and Runins. I'll get to Runes in a second because that's also, I believe, got a minor buff. Oh, we do just beat it. Yeah, so obviously that's a good buff to that item, especially on someone like Tristana, where they've made it so attack speed items work better with people with high attack speed ratios like Tristana. Hextech Gunblade. They're fixing the bug where the spell vamp wasn't applying properly, but it no longer this is what I was saying about earlier with the Shyvana with Thornmail's thing, so it doesn't benefit from item effects anymore. So item effects that cause damage won't get you the spell vamp, I believe, for the Hextech Gunblade, so it'd just be your own abilities and attack damage. So Ionic Spark, again, it's another item that didn't really run before, and it looks like now this will be something that's good to run because it now will deal true damage instead of magic damage. And it's 200 damage at the time, and there's a bug where it's also applying 75. So that's really good. Yeah, and there was I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier about the slight nerf to Imperials, I believe, somewhere. Yeah, items no longer benefit from the Imperial trait bonus. So Imperials with double damage. So something like like this item, or won't get the double damage effect from it anymore. I think in PB they had people using Ionic Spark with the 200 damage, and with and if it was on an Imperial unit, it would do 400 true damage. So they've got rid of that. Locket of the Iron Solari will now shield the wearer and the champion 2 spaces to the left and right of the wearer at the start of the round. So I think before it did everyone in around them, so it could target up to 6 champions, and now it will target 4, I believe. But the shield value's gone up to 300. This is, I guess, to also counter the fact that they've taken away the AP ratios as well. So it'll still be an okay item. You just won't be able to stack it and do stupid amounts of damage. Yeah, so let's look at my match here. I think we're definitely after that Misfortune, especially as it's got an attack speed item on her, and we'll take her up to level 2. So that person doesn't take them, we grab them. So that's really good for us. Let's see, Luden's Echo, fixing a bug. We fixed a couple of bugs on that, and increased the primary target damage to 200 and the AoE damage. Instead of being an AP ratio thing, will be flat 200. So that's pretty good for Luden's Echo, especially. Well, here again, an example of it. We've got Luden's Echo on the Lucian, so hopefully we'll see it proc better than it did before, because sometimes you wouldn't see the effect. So let's wait for this match to start and let's see if we can see if the Luden's Echo goes off. So it should go off when Lucian uses his ability. I want to see how to see it, unless he gets effort at the start of the round. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, so there was, I think it's the blue number coming off when he's oh, we didn't get to see it too much, but I think it's working properly now. Next up, Morello's got a buff, so the max HP damage per second goes from 2.5% to 3%. So this gives another buff to the item. Rapid fire cannon. Yeah, this is something that they confused me before, so I'm glad they fixed this. I think this really only affects, well, I don't know if we put rapid fire cannon on the least, but for this affects the rapid fire cannon Nidalee. When she transformed, she'd be able to hit you from across the screen still, as if she was a ranged, not a melee champion. So now, when she transforms, she'll only be able to hit you from twice the distance, only like 1 extra square away, which is nice, because I've lost many rounds to the rapid fire cannon Nidalee. It's annoying. Rika Bow got an attack speed boost, so well, we'll be able to see it here. Misfortune's got it. It goes from 15% to 20%, so that's pretty good. This round does not go well for me. Well, that's not too bad. I don't lose too much, but no, we're in the top 3 in our first ranked game, so that's pretty decent. Hope I can get through these before this ends. Redemption will now trigger at 25% health, not on death, I guess that means, and it will no longer damage enemies, which I think every now and again it did. But any time I ran it, I didn't really see it damage it or damage me. I think it must have been a random. Sometimes it did damage. Runa's Hurricane, the number of bolts, the number of extra targets it's going to hit is now going to be 1, not 2, and the bolt damage goes from 50% to 25%. So both those are a nerf, but it will now apply the on-hit effects, which strangely didn't do before. So I assume that would work for things like Cassadin now. You'd be able to burn or absorb mana from 1 extra target using Runans. That'd be something to definitely worth testing and see how that works with him. And it will work on other things like the red buff and Morello's. So that should be pretty good. Makes Runins go from a terrible item to something that's actually pretty worthwhile. Service and Brave, fix bug, wouldn't stack, whatever. Static Shiv will now always hit 3 additional targets rather than just in a frontal cone, so that's pretty good. So sometimes it wouldn't hit that many. Although I guess sometimes it would hit more. So it's neither a nerf or a buff, depending on your comp and how you've got everything laid out. And it will now only activate to maximum 1 time per launch attack. So I think that was just due to gunslingers in particular. With their double shot, it could trigger it twice. So So that definitely just means the Static Shiv isn't crazy on gunslingers. This round's looking. Oof. And there we see the Evelyn buff. It's crazy. Yeah, and she gets rolled off again. Well, admittedly this person's got a level 3 Evelyn, but you could see just the extreme power of this new Evelyn. It's the last items. So Thornmails will now reflect 35% of physical damage. So it used to do 35% of physical damage taken. Now one does 100% of physical damage mitigated, which I'm taking to mean that if you've got a heavily armoured character who's blocking a lot, so 100% of what they're mitigating will now be reflected back as opposed to 35% of the damage taken. So it basically makes Thornmails better on a tanky unit, which is kind of maybe why I shouldn't have. I don't know how it works with Castin, so I put a Thornmails on Castin in this round to see, although he gets chunked straight away. Plus he's got the Knight buff to give him the armour, and he's got his own shield, so I'm hoping all that combined means he reflects a little bit more, but I don't know if that's how it's working. It also reflects it now as true damage, not magic damage. But that's us out of that. So in our first ranked match, we came in third, but we keep watching just to see which of these two compositions won. This guy's on over 40 health, 10 health, so it seems like he's in a pretty good position. Final two items. So Warmog's got a buff, so instead of it, well, I assume this would be a buff. So instead of regenerating 3% of your max HP, it will do 6% of your missing HP. And finally, Zeke's Herald will now only grant attack speed to champion 2 spaces to left and right of the wearer. So again, they've changed those AoE items to do left and right spaces. So I guess it means instead of doing a lot of this stacking in the corner comps, you'd maybe do a bit more of a spread out composition. Maybe trying to force people into doing different compositions. As we'll see in a second, that a corner stack comp is not always the way to go. Yeah. So yeah, that heavily stacked Tristana there, obviously carrying them through the game there. And also on the Zeke's Herald, the attack speed already goes from 10% to 15%. So outside of a few random bug fixes, that's pretty much all this patch has. So I'll be playing I think I'll probably always play ranked from now on. We've seen a few of the items and changes and things here. I think we've seen other people playing the new Twisted Fate as well, which is one of the bigger changes. Overall, I think it's just good for the game. All these updates, I think they're saying they're going to be doing like weekly patches, but like small patches to the game, which makes sense for this game where powerful compositions can be found pretty quickly, and then people just keep using the same compositions. So any tweaks and changes is good. So hopefully we'll be able to see start next week. People trying different things out. Obviously, as I said, Evelyn, as you see in this match, someone picked her, got it to level 3 because no one else probably read the patch notes, and now she's doing great. So that's definitely a pretty powerful buff to her. But as soon as people realise that, obviously more people are going to be taking Evelyn. So hopefully we won't see too many level 3 Evelyns, because that is very, very scary. So at the moment we've got, so this guy's running the assassin kind of composition. He's got 4 level 3 units up against this guy who's running like sorcerers with a bit of gunslingers, and with the running the misfortune powerfully in the corner, and he almost loses down to 1 health. So this is so after this, well, if they can both beat Elder Dragon, they'll just have 1 round left, because someone's got to die at 4 and 1. But obviously the Elder Dragon could easily knock him out. See, someone's going to get a Zephyr, someone's going to get a Thornmails. Everyone just moving their positions around. So luckily the guy with the sorcerers now isn't going to suffer at the hands of the Elder Dragon. because obviously with 1 health, with the old way Dragon worked, his composition probably would have done okay actually. He's got gunslingers as well. He's got he's running 3 gunslingers, so he's not getting the full gunslinger bonus. I guess with a slight nerf to it, doesn't really matter too much. So yeah, he puts the Rabadon on Akali, because they haven't really nerfed that Akali build. But it's too late in the game to make the full Akali, like 2 Rabadons, Ludens, Echoes, Splash craziness. So he was spread out here, this assassin player. Then he decides to group up on the right here, up against this comp. I think this is a bad move. I would have left him spread out, because his carries are right at the back, and by clumping here, his assassins aren't going to be able to leap to the back line. Yeah, so this was, as I said, yeah, you see me circling it there. That just confused me why he did that, because then Misfortune and Tristana at the back here, taking no damage, are just free to basically kill everybody on the team, and that gets him the victory. So there we go. That's my thoughts on the latest patch, and my first game of ranked. So now I've got some LP, level up a little bit, and like the video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.